So does anyone have idea of what high performance computing workload means? Anyone? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm asking, does anyone have idea of high performance computing workloads?
Yeah, I think I have a idea.
Okay, so can you just contribute? Let us know what that means in your. No answer is wrong actually.
In my own understanding, high performance, the computer is able to withstand any load, any high performance tasks you carry out. That be in just any type of duty you want to carry out, the high performance computing will be able to do that for you, which your local system cannot.
Exactly. So, like an example of a high performance workload.
Let's say you need a system with 64 gig RAM performing high tasks, which ordinarily your system with 8 gig RAM cannot perform. The system with the high performance computing is able to do that at ease.
Awesome,
That be the
awesome,
stretch.
awesome.
That's all from my end. That's all from my end.
Hi, Richard. I think he's done with the explanation. Maybe you can go on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Now we can.
Okay. Thank you so much for the contribution. So, what's you're actually correct. I just want to add more to it. So, what high performance computing workloads are? These are workloads that are extremely computationally intensive, right? All of us know about Bitcoin here. That one is sure. I know a lot of us know about Bitcoin. Also, we also know about meteorological predictions like weather forecasting, all of those things, and also earthquake analysis. You know, those magnitude, all those calculations. Those are done using high performance computing. There's also quantum computing and all those things. You can't do those things on your normal system. So you need something that's very powerful. So in the cloud, right? You have those options as well. To instead of you to go, instead of you to start thinking about buying this kind of machine, which actually costs like so much, you can spin up something like that in the cloud and do what you want to do, enjoy yourself, do your processing and those beautiful things. So disaster recovery and backup, right? So larger organizations, even smaller organizations as well, they have disaster recovery plan and also backup solutions as well. So in the cloud, um, you can set up your VMs to periodically back up your data, right? You can back up your data to an Azure storage, right? So that even if something happened, because I showed you those different data centers, right? Even if something happened to one of those data centers, your um your data is secure in because there's what they call redundancy. So because of there's what they call redundancy, which is a function of high availability. So you can spin up a VM in, let's say, US, and US have different a paired region. You can have another set of that's your data, your disk stored in that region as well. So it gives you the ability to always come back from whenever there's a disaster, whenever there's a loss of data, in order for you to go back to any point in time and get your data and start your running your whatever you're running on before, right? So the benefits and use cases and importance of VM are inexhaustible. Like just so much. Okay. So we talk about different workloads for VMs, right? So some of those things that I already explained, right? Um, you can see them here. We have auto scaling. Auto scaling, right? Auto scaling is a function of the virtual machine scale sets, right? So if I'm provisioning a machine, right, I have the opportunity to say, oh, I want it to be I want to provision inside this case set so that as I'm provisioning it has either 1 to 3 VMs. So once the workload is least, once the request or the frequent request or the traffic to my application is minimum, there will be 1 VM, right, one server serving those traffics. But once it's increasing, I can decide that let it be 3 or let it be 4, depending on my expected traffic or request. So we have accelerated performance, of course, because of the fact that we're leveraging a very high, how will I call it that? Because we're leveraging the help of a very sophisticated infrastructure. So the networking, storage, everything we have the opportunity to use the latest storage. We have the opportunity to use the most sophisticated network, right? Those are things that you know that you want to get them with your normal system is going to be so expensive for you. So you can decide to, okay, since I'm going to run this for like 2 or 3 days or 1 month, let me use a premium storage. And we know that premium storage has low latency and a very high IOPS, inputs and output processing per second, and all of those beautiful things, right? So we have rapid backup and restore. So we have multiple OS supports. So because on Azure, we have Linux, we have Windows, we have other OS. So you can raise a support request, and you have somebody who, of course, depending on your subscription, you have different level of support that can work with you to resolve that problem. So most times, if you don't have anything like that, you'll be working on your own personal system. You'll be trying to troubleshoot. So you don't have access to Microsoft engineers who you can raise tickets with. They can now come on the call with you to remotely troubleshoot the problem. But because you're using the cloud and you have a subscription, yes, you can raise a support request and they can come to your head and work with you. So you have built-in monitoring and management. So we have the Azure Monitor and application insight on Azure that helps to monitor different levels of your application, the OS level, network level, application level, different part of your system in real time as well. And because the cloud again, we also have the opportunity to leverage AI and high performance computing. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So we'll talk about virtual machine options, right? So yeah, again, because we have all of these beautiful things in the cloud, doesn't mean that if I want to do something that's less intensive, I'm not going to spin up in high performance computing. Of course, you know, high performance computing will cost more. So it depends on what you really want to do. For instance, if you just want to test a test application that you just wrote, you don't need to spin up a very expensive GPU that you know is used for graphic processing, or let's say machine learning, TensorFlow processing. You don't have to do that. You can just use the general purpose um, general purpose virtual machines. These are best for testing and development of small to medium database and low traffic web servers, right? So we also have the compute optimize. The compute optimize are basically for medium and batch processing. We have memory optimize for relational database, to serve relational database, and also um, databases that has large cache in memory cache for analytics. And we have storage optimized for SQL database, relational databases. So we have GPU for heavy graphic processing. You see people that are doing all these video editing, like top video editing, like Hollywood. They need they need good systems, so they use GPUs to do those stuff. Even people that are writing machine learning, like deep learning, artificial intelligence. For instance, now, like I talked about the 8-week processing and predicting and meteorology, they use GPUs as well because those ones, GPU and high processing compute, they use those kind of things to do on their work. Their work. Okay, so now we are going to have a demo, but before we go to the demo, I would like to know if anybody have any question so far. Hello? Does anyone have any questions so far?
I don't think so.
Oh, really? Okay. So now let's go back to demo. Let's do some demo. So we're going to create a virtual machine and do some tasks on virtual machines, right? So I am going to go over to Azure. I'm going to go over to Azure. Go to azure.com. Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
Yes, can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you. So I'm moving over to Azure. Out. Let me switch over to my. Okay, so I'm just moving from one tenant to another because I don't have enough subscription on the first tenant, right? So this, okay, I have enough subscription here. So this is the Azure portal. There are different ways you can actually create resources on Azure, depending on the resource that you want to create. Now, one of the way to, and the most easiest way, especially on an introductory level, is using the portal, right? Because the portal gives you a graphical user interface where you can actually click, you can see what you're clicking, you can make selections and all of those things, right? You can see what you're doing. But as you grow, you can move on to using the cloud share or Azure Resource Manager or stuff, IAC tools like Terraform and Bicep and all those other tools are there. So basically, what you normally, if you're looking for any resource on Azure portal, there are two ways to go about it. There are three ways to go about it actually. This is the global search, right? You can put virtual machine here, right? And it will bring out the suggestion for you, so virtual machines. Another way you can do is to come over here to click on the hamburger and look for you see the different resources here, right? So you can look for your virtual machine here, right? Or you can click on all resources and it's going to show all resource here. Oh, okay, let's go back one more time. So you can click on create the resource. If you click on this create a resource, it's going to show you different type of resource here. So you can see your VM here. Okay. So you can select what you want to do. I've already clicked on virtual machine. So it's going to ask me if I want to create a virtual machine. It's going to take me to this page, right, that I want to create a virtual machine. So in creating a virtual machine, because I'm using the portal, it gives me these templates that I have to go through, right? So there are explanations here that you can read through to understand. It's basically telling you that you can use this to create a Linux or a Windows virtual machines, right? And there are different images from Azure Marketplace, right? So you can use your own custom image as well. So in any when you want to create any resource on Azure on the cloud, you need a resource, you need a subscription, and on Azure you need a resource group. The resource group is so that you can have whatever you are whatever workload, whatever resource that you're creating should be well organized, not be scattered around anywhere. And also for easy management. For instance, if I don't need the application anymore, I can decide to delete everything that has to do with the application, because when I'm deploying a VM, I am not just deploying a VM, I am deploying all the resource needed to make that VM work, right? If I'm deploying a VM, I will need to deploy uh, a VNet, which is a virtual network. I will need to deploy storage accounts. I will need to deploy the disk, depending on the kind of VM I'm deploying. If I'm deploying a VM that has that's case, it will deploy a load balancer alongside. So all of those things are going to go inside the resource group instead of being scattered around. So that's the rule in Azure. So it's a must that whatever resource that you're deploying has to go into resource group, so that for easy management. So right now we want to create a Windows VM using the Azure portal. This is the basic way to start creating resources when you start on any cloud platform, right? So right now, like I said before, you need a subscription. So right now on this tenant, I have this Azure Cloud subscription, right? So I can decide to use any resource group that I want here, but because I want to create a new VM for this tutorial, I am going to create a new one. I'm going to call it Dynamics VM. Okay, and it's going to check and validate, and it said okay. I think it's Dynamics. There's S or so. I think it's Dynamics. Okay, Dynamics VM. Okay, so what's going to be the name of the VM? I can call it Dynamics VM, and of course this is a dev VM, right? I can decide to name it easily, because in Azure, as well as any other cloud platform, the naming convention, although people don't really stick to that, but it's just for you to know what this VM is about. So I can decide to say this is East US, right? So that I know that this VM that I'm deploying, instead of me to just be checking around, I know that this is a development environment that is located in East US, right? So because now the region is in East US, right? So I have availability zone, right? So availability zone is basically like what I explained before when we were talking about disaster recovery, right? They are what they call paired regions, right? So maybe in the East US, you can have East US 1 or East US A, East US B. So if I put an availability zone here, it's going to deploy another VM to a zone in it. It's going to deploy the VM to both availability zone. For instance, if I click on this, if I say 3 availability zones, it's going to deploy the VM to 3 availability zones, right? So we are going to have different copies of this VM across these 3 zones, right? And of course, that would mean that you have to pay more money for it. Okay, so because we're using just this does not really have any serious case, right? We don't really need any availability zone, so I would say no infrastructure redundancy required, and it's going to take that away. So trusted launch, this security type. The security type is just showing that whenever I'm booting this system that you want to deploy, I'm going to check through all the binaries. I'm going to check all through all the files to ensure that everything is signed from a trusted provider like Windows, like Ubuntu, which is Canonical, or any other Mac OS or something they have trusted because of security reasons, right? So I can change this to standard, which is basic. And now this is the beautiful part, which is one of the most important parts, right? But currently, we're saying that this is set to Ubuntu, meaning I want to deploy an Ubuntu server. But if I look, I have a wide range of different type of images that I can deploy, right? If I click on, you see all the images here. You see, we have Windows, we have different Ubuntu servers, we have SUSE, we have Red Hat Linux, we have Oracle, we have Debian, so we have a whole lot of them. You see, if I click on see or image to take me to another page where you can see so many of them, like so many of them. So they are like 457 pages of different type of VMs you can create, right? So let's stick to our guy. We just need this one. Need this. Can select this one and just go with this Gen 2 or patch. We can take anyone we want here. It's not really serious. Okay. And now we're good with that. So we have on Azure, unfortunately, we don't have we only support 64 architecture, right? We don't support 32. We only support 64 bits. We don't support 32. So this Azure support discounts. What this means is that we're trying to look for discounts, right? It's like you going on Amazon or eBay, you want to buy a particular clothes, but you don't want to spend like so much. So you say whenever there's an auction, please buy this for me. Once there's an auction, so this is what it means. You say that if there are virtual machines that are like that cost like 5 cents, 2 cents per hour, please say give me that virtual machine, right? So you have to come here and set up all of those things. So the problem with using spot discount is that because you're not the only one using the cloud, right? Other people are using the cloud, so most times it might not be available. And once somebody who needs more capacity and pays more than you requests for that VM, is going to be evicted from your tenant. So you won't be able to use that. Whatever workload you're running on it is going to go. You won't be able to use it again. So you have to set up an eviction policy. So the eviction policy it can either be a stop or deallocate, meaning if it's no longer there, the VM will be in the stop mode. Once it's now available, it will come back to you. But there's another one called delete. So if somebody else is using that, just delete it. I don't need it anymore. So as the person is evicting, it is going to be deleted from your tenant, right?